Hi everyone. Today we're going to be talking about triangle congruence statements, and we'll have another video kind of on this as well. That's why it says part 1 on the top. So we've talked about that triangles can be congruent, and remember, congruent is that they have the same angles and same sides. They're basically equal to each other. They're the exact same triangle, just two separate times. We've talked about in the previous videos, we've been talking about similar triangles. So similar triangles have the same angles and they look really similar, but one might be bigger than the other or have longer lengths than the other. So congruent triangles mean that they're literally exactly the same triangle. And so in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to find what sides are equal to each other or what angles are equal to each other, and then also write congruent statements. So in this first example, they actually already give us this congruent statement. The congruent statement is this thing right here, which says that triangle IJK is congruent to triangle IMN. And we can see by all of these little red markings that this is also true. The way that you want to look at these markings is that, and I know they're all in red, but I'm going to change some to blue. So see how you have just one line right here on this line from I to J? And then we also just have one little red line, or now it's blue line, from I to M. What that tells me is that the length from I to M is the same or equal to the length from I to J. And then where we have the two lines, so from J to K on this triangle and from M to N on this triangle, those two lengths are the same. We can do the same thing with angles, so I'm going to change my color. For example, if I have these two right here, because I have two lines on the angle, the other angle that has the two lines for the other triangle, your angle M and your angle J, those are equal to each other. And that's kind of how we read this. So for the first question, it gives us this triangle, and then it asks us, well, what is IJ, the line IJ, congruent to? And we've already kind of talked about this, but we're looking for IJ. From I to J has one blue line on it, so we're looking for the other thing that has one blue line on it, which is from I to M. So my answer would be from I to M, or the length between I and M. And we put that line above it just to represent that it's a length. So this is my answer for number 1. Now the second example is the same. So they've already created all of the markings. We know that they're equal to each other. A kind of tricky one on this one is this line right here, this middle line. There's only one length with one line on it, and that's because these two triangles share that line. They're the same line. So if I were to separate those two triangles and write them out separately, then I could have two lines with just one blue line on them, but in this case, because they share that line, we only need one. So we're going to treat this the same as the last one, and for this question, it's asking angle S. What is angle S congruent to? So angle S is, well, there's two angle S's, right? This is kind of an odd one. So you could have two different options. We could say this angle right here, which is the two lines, because that's considered an angle S, right? Or, I'm going to use a different color, we could consider this the angle S, which is just with the one line. So it kind of depends. And let's just say, I'm going to change it up a little bit. So let's say that instead of saying angle S, we're going to have angle TSR. So angle TSR, when you have three letters with an angle, what we want to do is look from T to S to R. What angle does that create? So if we're looking at it, it's from T to S to R, which is this angle, the green angle with two lines. If I were to have asked for the angle from R to S to C, that would have been the yellow one. So let's just go with the angle TSR, and we're trying to find what's congruent to that. And we know that it's got the two green lines on it. So we want to find the other thing that should have two green lines, the other angle with two green lines on it. Now, obviously, I didn't draw one with two green lines, but I do know where the other one is with the two lines that I can make green, which are right here. So that's angle R, right? But once again, we can't just say angle R because that's kind of screwy. There's two different angle R's. It could be the green one or it could be the yellow one, which I'm making yellow right now. So we want to make sure that we say it's the green one. And to make sure we say it's the green one, we want to say from S to R to C. So my answer would be from angle S, R, C. And that's our answer. Now we could do the same thing with the yellow angles because remember it asked us for angle S, but we didn't really decide what angle S was. So if we were going to do it for the yellow angles, it would be angle RSC is equal to angle oh my goodness, sorry. So angle RSC is equal to angle SRT. So either way, they are showing you that it's what angle S is equal to. It's just that one was for the green and one was for the yellow. And on your self-check, sorry, let me backtrack and say this. On your self-check, you won't have to guess which one it's associating with. It'll tell you. And the other thing that I wanted to show you is, now we've been using the pictures to do this, but you can also just use our congruence statement. So notice how on the congruence statement we have the first triangle is RST. And for our first congruent statement, we have angle TSR. So all I did was flip that around. So RST became TSR, like we flipped it around. So if this is right, then SRC should be flipped around CRS, right? So I actually screwed that one up. This shouldn't say SRC, it should say CRS because we flipped the first one around, so we want to flip the second one around. And same thing goes for this yellow angle. It's RSC, which would be like from here to here to here. So the SRT should also do that. S to R and then to T. So yes, it does do that. You can double check your answers that way too. Like look at the picture, get your answer, and then double check your answers by looking at the congruent statement and making sure that it's in order or in line with that. Okay, let's go to the next example. So the next example is asking us to write a congruent statement. So the way that I like to do this is I like to just look at my angles and see which ones are the same as each other. So I'm going to start with the one with just one line, which is T on this one, and then X, which is on this one. And so when I write my congruent statement, I'm going to start with angle or my triangle T and triangle X, because those are just the ones with one line. Now we're going to find the ones with two lines on the angle. So angle U and angle V. So I'm going to, next to the T, I'm going to put U. Next to the X, I'm going to put V. And then we're going to go to the ones with three lines, which on this triangle is V, and on this triangle is Z. And so I'm going to put V over here and Z over here. And look, there's our congruent statement. Triangle TUV is congruent to triangle XVZ. And as long as you do it that way, like start with the thing with one line, then two lines, then three lines, it should totally work out. Okay, now let's try that same thing over here. So let's start with the one with one line, which is right here and right here. And those are both considered angle F. So when I start my congruent statement, I'm going to have two triangles, and both of them are going to start with F. Then let's do the ones with two lines, which are T on the top and H on the bottom. So, or sorry, that's a J. J on the top and H on the bottom. And so we're going to put J next to one F and then H next to the other F. And then the last one is the thing with three lines, which would be I on the top and G on the bottom. So I goes next to there and G goes next to here. And here we go. There is our congruent statement. So this is how we write congruent statements and then also use congruent statements to figure out what sides and angles are equal to each other.